The press service of Toretsk military administration reported that on August the 4th, around 11 a.m., the Russian military shelled the residential areas of Toretsk. 8 people were killed, 4 were injured, including 3 children. The micro-district and the central part of the city came under fire. 8 people were killed, including 7 civilians and 1 police officer. 4 people were injured, including 3 children. The report said. According to the information of the head of Donetsk Regional Military Administration, Pavlo Kyrylenko, the Russians fired artillery and hit a public transport stop where people were at the time. In addition, the Russians damaged the church and wounded the priest and damaged the surrounding high-rise buildings, he said. On the night of August the 5th, the Russian military shelled Toretsk community again. The supermarket building in the central part of the city was damaged. There are no dead or injured. This was reported in the press service of Toretsk military administration. The press service added that already in the morning, the community's communal services workers started to clear the debris and put the adjacent territories in proper condition. The Russian army destroyed another school in Donetsk region, namely the hub school in Ocheretine. This was announced by the head of Donetsk Regional Military Administration, Pavlo Kyrylenko, in his Telegram channel. He added that 4 years ago the school opened after a major renovation, and most of the equipment and educational materials were promptly transported to safer regions of Ukraine. Before the full-scale Russian invasion, 353 students studied here. Everything we have been building for years the Russians are methodically destroying in one moment. They have already destroyed 27 schools alone and damaged another 248, Mr. Kyrylenko said. On the night of August the 5th, the military of the Russian Federation once again shelled Mykolaiv. Powerful explosions were heard in one of the districts of the city. Mayor Alexander Sienkiewicz announced this on the Telegram channel. Dmytro Pletenchuk, the press officer of the Mykolaiv Regional Military Administration, wrote on Facebook that the Korabelny district of the city is under fire. The occupiers returned to the practice of using email with a cluster part. One of the private houses was hit, Pletenchuk said. During the day of August the 4th, pyrotechnicians of the Mykolaiv region received 11 reports about explosive objects. 4 rounds of ammunition were recovered. This was reported by the press service of the State Emergency Service. Since the beginning of the Russian aggression, 3,049 explosive objects have been seized in the Mykolaiv region. Before the beginning of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine by the Russian army, the pyrotechnic group of the main department of the State Emergency Service in Mykolaiv region had 14 pyrotechnicians. As of August, there are 52 of them. On the evening of August the 4th, the Russian army struck Kharkiv with artillery. As the head of Kharkiv Regional Military Administration, Oleg Sinehubov, reported, the Russians struck the Shevchenkivsky and Industrialny districts of the city. There is preliminary information about 3 victims, says the post of the head of Kharkiv Regional Military Administration. The mayor of Kharkiv, Igor Terehov, called the Russian artillery shelling another act of destruction and intimidation of Kharkiv residents. Pavlove Pole is under heavy fire. Near one of the markets, rescuers are currently working on demanding the head of a gift that has arrived. 1 person was injured in Pavlove Pole and was taken away by an ambulance. The infrastructure, one of the residential buildings, was damaged. The mayor's message reads, after the strikes, rescuers are demanding the territory of Pavlove Pole. There are damaged houses and educational institutions. Serhiy Bolvinov, the head of the investigative department, said that the Russian military shelled Shevchenkivsky district with cluster shells from the BM-30 Smerch multiple rocket launcher. And yesterday at 10 p.m. there was Armageddon. Crazy shots. It hit right under my window. All the glass on 3 windows blew out. What should I do? I will look for an opportunity to glaze it, because it will not work like that in winter. On August the 5th, several explosions rang out during an air raid alert in Zaporizhia. Alexander Starukh, the head of Zaporizhia Regional Military Administration, announced that the hits were recorded near the city. The Russian military hit one of the infrastructure facilities in the suburbs of Zaporizhia, damaging production equipment. There are no injured people. Anatoly Kurtiv, the acting city mayor, said a fire broke out in the workshop of the enterprise, which was extinguished by rescuers of the State Emergency Service. Valentin Reznichenko, the head of Dnipropetrovsk Regional Military Administration, announced that on the night of August the 5th, the Russian army shelled two districts of Dnipropetrovsk region, namely Nikopolsky and Krivorisky. They shelled Nikopol twice from BM-21 Grad. 40 rockets hit the city. Up to 10 private houses and commercial buildings were damaged. A fire broke out at a local enterprise. A bus and several cars were destroyed. People were not affected. Krivorisky district was hit with BM-27 Uragan and barrel artillery. Kharkivka and Zelenodolsk Hromadas came under fire. There are no injured or dead. I would never want you to be here for anything in the world, but I would be happy to be next to you at this moment. I love you very much, brother. This message was sent to Yaroslav Vlasenko from Zmyiv in Kharkiv region 2.5 months ago by his older brother Vladislav. At that time, a 24-year-old conscript National Guardsman and his comrades were protecting the Azovstal plant in Mariupol from the Russians. I am glad that my brother is the defender of our country, that he defended its honor. I really want them all back, not just my brother, but all of them. After almost 3 months of fighting, in mid-May, the defenders of Azovstal received an order from the command to lay down their arms. The night before leaving the plant was the first. They were not fired upon since the beginning of the war, Vladislav told his mother. There was, he said, such silence, such a starry sky. He said they were not used to this silence. They were used to constant explosions and shelling. They were fired upon from ships, from artillery, from airplanes, from everything possible. Allah saw her son on the footage during the evacuation. He was in the bus that the Russians drove to take away the prisoners. They were almost certain that they would be evacuated to Ukrainian territory. Allah says that to the question of where the occupiers are keeping Vladislav, the representatives of his military unit and the defense intelligence of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine answer as follows. They say that the Russian part does not provide them with such information. Valentina Vysotska from Zmyiv is also looking for her son, a 27-year-old defender of Azovstal. When I asked him, I said, "Son, I don't need a hero, I need a son, don't rush there." And he said, "Mom, I work with papers." In fact, when I saw his hands, they were black from their weapons. National Guardsman contractor Yevhen Vysotsky, a week after his capture, called his mother from the former penal colony in the occupied village of Olenivka in Donetsk region, where the Russians held Ukrainian prisoners of war. The conversation with her son lasted 2 minutes, Valentina recalls. Mom, be quiet, you're on a speakerphone. That's what he told me. If you get a call to send money, don't send anything to anyone. This was the first thing he told me. He said, everything is fine with me. A month at most and I'll be at home. It's been almost 3 months. Valentina hasn't heard any news from Yevhen anymore. She also does not know whether he was in the colony at the end of July when an explosion rang out there. In the list of the dead published by the Russians, the woman from Zmyiv did not find her son. I was in panic, of course. I didn't know how, but I believed that my son was alive, and I still believe now. And I know that he will return alive and well. He will be at home. Everything will be fine. Daughter Yaroslava and pregnant wife Marina are waiting for Yevhen at home. She is due to give birth to a son in September.